Recording in progress.
Let's call this meeting of June 18th, 2025 to order at 10 a.m. This is a regular meeting. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Jim, would you like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of
And let's have a roll call, please. Present.
Commissioner Domrat, Commissioner Matoush,
Present.
Commissioner Zemke, Commissioner Chang Corrali.
And let's have public comments and questions. I don't see any public in the audience. Do we have any online? Okay, let's close that and move on to commissioner comments. Any member of the commission may make public statements for items not on the agenda. Anyway,
I have a comment.
I would be surprised if you didn't.
Well, I just was so happy about that special meeting at the harbor when we did the salmon smolt release, the last of the 3. And I just wanted to thank staff for all the work that they did to prepare for that, because we had quite a crowd since it was also the first day of the recreational salmon opening. And the harbor seemed to be buzzing, but at the same time, you know, people were out. But I just thought it was it was a lovely event. I think people were informed and they thought it was worth their while to be there. And people from the other side of the hill too, where I live, came. So they were happy to see the harbor in person, and they probably haven't been there that many times, and to hear what we had to say, and Tuolumne River Trust and Golden State Salmon Association and the Coastside Fishing Club. I mean, big kudos to them too for a successful 3-time smolt release. So Tom, can you just give them kudos from us to the Coastside Fishing Club, because I know they put in a lot of work and they've done so for the last almost 15 years.
I didn't get a chance on the microphone to tell people this, but I did talk to a lot of people saying these are the kinds of things that we want to do, even in terms of the education, the science portion of it. If we have to get funds in the future, we can even put like posters together of where these fish are coming from, some maps and stuff, and make it an educational event for the people of the community. So a lot. And these are the kinds of things we want to do as we go forward with our oceans.
I want to thank the Fish and Wildlife and their efforts in working with the Coastside Fishing Club to get these to fishes that we can release into the ocean. I was glad to see kids there and adults. All that goes into the getting the salmon back to the ocean, given the civilization on our rivers. Our rivers now really don't have a mechanism for salmon to do their natural reproductive kinds of processes. And so we need to step in, and I think it's important to teach people about the importance of fresh water running down to the ocean. So yes, thank you to staff, thank you to the guests, thank you to the speakers who came. And George, you're going to be probably chair next year. You don't piss too many of us off. Or maybe if you piss us off, you will be chair. Yeah, right. But we should probably have it on the middle of the second release, so that we don't have and stay far, far away from the opening
Salmons.
of, fish, of the
Salmon
salmon
season.
season. Since our whole salmon season for those who are watching was
One
all in
day.
2 days, 2
Yeah,
days.
2 days.
That's another great tragedy, but in any event, any other public comment? Tom?
Salmon opener was absolutely spectacular. There was fish caught from Morro Bay clear to Eureka. California Department of Fish and Wildlife Wardens contacted over 14,000 people, and they only wrote 260 tickets. The majority were for silvers, a couple were for no license. The last 250,000 fish went into the acclimation pen, and the program continues to show great success. For your reference, the salmon season generally starts in April. So this was an anomaly with the 2-day season that coincided with the last release.
Seeing no more board comments, let's move on to activity reports, general manager.
I want to follow up with Commissioner Hughes and Salmon. Several people, or several, there are more than one person off the charter boats. Did not get on the boat because of parking. They notified the captains that they were at Pillar Point, but they were leaving because of no parking. So the parking was at its max. Highway 1 was crowded with trucks and trailers. Every open piece of grass in the area had a truck or a trailer on it. Down at the hotel, down towards Half Moon Bay, there were trailers parked outside that. So people spending the night in hotels before the launching the next morning. So it was great. A lot of the fishermen started launching their vessels as early as Wednesday. So we already had lots of people in the water before Saturday morning, and that birth rates that people were paying the harbor district to have their boats tied up in the harbor for it was great. It was a great day for everybody at the harbor and the community. More detailed report with numbers. More detail will be in next month's book.
I've been very busy last weekend. And opening. Heart attack, we believe, at the launch room. Added to the challenges on Sunday. Staff did the very best they could to try to revive that person. Some heroic efforts. Definitely unsuccessful, which added to all the challenges the staff had to overcome. They did an excellent job working on Monday. Like, and occupancy was greatly improved. We were above our normal 85% due to all the transients that came in for the opener. And likewise at Oyster Point, it was very busy over there as well. And staff did an excellent job maintaining all of the facilities during all the high use times, the restroom, etc. Got several people actually commenting at Oyster Point on what a great job staff did and how clean the facilities were, the restrooms, etc. And as General Manager said, we'll have photos and everything, actual activity for June and July.
Fabulous. Julie, administration and finance. Oh, your time to shine is coming.
Coming up.
Let's have me talk about the consent agenda, bills and claims, minutes for May 8th, 2025, the special meeting, minutes for the special board meeting, May 22nd, monthly capital project update, and annual expenditure for Special District Risk Management Authority.
Can I take one off?
If you would like to take one off, which one?
Number 5, and really, Jim, it was just so that, or Julie, just so that we get a sense what SDRMA is doing since, I mean, in good things too, just so that, you know, some of the board members who are not familiar with what SDRMA is can.
Okay, well,
Hear about it.
let's save that. Do
But,
we
and
have-
I'll move to approve the consent calendar for items 1 through 4.
Second. Thank you, George. All those in favor? Do we need to have a roll call or? No, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Pardon?
Opposed and abstentions.
Oh, yes, do we have any, I didn't hear any opposition or exception, abstentions. Thank you, Tom. Let's talk about the annual expenditure for SDRMA.
Good morning, Commissioners. This item is an annual item. The staff goes through quite a process to update and make sure that we have a complete listing of all the assets at both harbors and in an admin office. We look at the values of that asset and adjust accordingly if needed. Also, SDRMA increases the valuations of assets as needed to have a sufficient amount of money to set aside in case of a loss. This year, and as Rochelle will be talking about, our liability insurance increased greatly. It's a pooled, SDRMA has a pooled plan, and the losses have been significant over the state, and they've increased our property and liability insurance, and Rochelle will be talking about a $73,000 increase in the budget between preliminary budget and final budget for that item. On the flip side of that, workers' comp insurance is going down a little bit. And that is because we haven't had the number of losses. Our EMOD has decreased. And I don't believe we've had any injuries at work over the last fiscal year.
Just the staff.
Yeah. That, is there any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. But no, it's just, yeah, I think it's important. I'm glad that we're members of SDRMA. And it's, like you said, a full fund, and hopefully economies of scale will continue. I think it helps a lot, but thank you.
We see on this paid governing body members reported payroll, 36,000. I believe that should be 35. Oh, okay. No, my math is off. I got it.
Okay. Moving on,
So I'll move
yes,
to authorize the general manager to renew the membership with SDRMA and bind all insurance policies for fiscal year 25-26 on behalf of the Harbor Commission. The estimated amount would be for property and liability package of $506,487.09, and workers' comp would be $182,334.74.
you have a second. George, all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Please, Julie.
No, any abstentions? None? Moving on to discussion, update on Surfers Beach. This is an information only item. And so John, and this is your baby.
Just, like I said, informational, need the monthly update that you give for the Surfers Beach pilot restoration project. We are moving along on schedule after the board approving the contractor. And we also will be having a meeting later on today, to kick off the construction. We anticipate, actual eelgrass mitigation to start next week. You got, our consultant, Brad Dam. Detail on the recent.
I think I left it out my glasses.
Morning. Having me here. Yeah, as John mentioned, I'm here today because we have a meeting in this room in the afternoon with the contractor and construction management and engineering team, and of course, district staff to talk about a lot of the details. This is going to be a quick one today. My quick presentation here. So just to kind of sum things up, May 6th was when the bids were due for the project. We received 3 bids. The low bidder, qualified bidder, was Vortex Marine Construction, who entered into contract with the district on, I think it was May 27th, towards the end of May. We had obviously vetted the qualifications and made sure everything was complete and that they were qualified. Right now, they are working on all of their submittals and plans. We expect to have an operations plan, dredge operations plan, a project schedule, and much more information coming hopefully today and throughout the rest of the week. They've just started submitting things. Next month at the board meeting, we'll give you a detailed presentation about the schedule and the process and what to expect during the months of construction. But for now, we're just patiently awaiting, and we're going to be discussing those today. As far as the pre-construction surveys and things that need to take place that are the district's responsibility, we've got several things underway right now. I'd say the first one is the bathymetry survey in the harbor and on the beach, and that was completed end of last week and beginning of this week. We're expecting the results before the end of this week. And once we have those, ESA will be able to prepare what they call the conform plans, which is the final set of plans based on the existing conditions out there from the surveys. Biological surveys, a couple of weeks ago, eelgrass and black abalone surveys were conducted. I'm waiting on those reports, but I'll tell you the good news on the black abalone is that none were found. So that's a pretty big deal. That was a tough one, but nothing there. And I wasn't really expecting it, but it could have happened. And we did have a contingency in place, so it wouldn't have delayed construction. But anyway, Sandy Beach monitoring, that occurred for a pre-construction baseline at the same time as the eelgrass and black abalone. And then other surveys like the special status plants, that just kind of goes with the bloom season of the different variety of plants. And that's been ongoing, and nothing of concern has been found. In fact, it's mostly along the dredge pipeline and all those areas, non-native plants, and nothing really that we need to be concerned about impacting. Permitting, everything's going according to plan. We just need to submit these various plans from the contractor as soon as we get them. And I know those are coming. So one update to give on the Coastal Commission is that the district requested an amendment to the permit, which was approved last Friday. And that amendment basically had 3 elements to it. The first one was so that we don't have to do bird surveys on the other side of Highway 1. But the 2 big ones were they're going to allow for knockdowns at the boat launch ramp, which means basically taking a long reach excavator and pushing that sand that builds up on the concrete ramps themselves in the next 5 years with surveys and obviously other conditions. But and that can be extended every 5 years. So that's a good thing. We won't have to get a whole new permit from the Coastal Commission every time we want to dredge or do operations at the boat launch ramp. The second part of it is they will allow something similar, which is more dredging and beach placement at Surfers Beach, similar to the plans that we have now, up to the volume that we have now over the next 5 years, with the opportunity to be able to renew that every 5 years. The important thing to mention about that is that you still have to do all of the surveys, eelgrass, all those things that were required for this, but it doesn't require a whole separate permit. So that was a good thing. And the Coastal Commission was really good work with on that. And in fact, they, as I keep on mentioning, have made this permit, yeah.
Sanctuary agreed for that.
The Marine Sanctuary, I believe, and that's a discussion with them that we're gonna have. This is a pilot project. They did it as a, I forget the category of permit, but it was actually National Marine Sanctuary's permit. They have the option to be able to issue an authorization for future projects. So if the Coastal Commission or Army Corps issues a permit, then they would just authorize that. And they've, you know, that, like I said, we'll discuss that later, but I think that that would be likely.
And was that coastal commission permit at the staff level, but the commission didn't have to go through it? I mean, because there's been a change in the coastal commission, like in terms of the commissioner makeup. Do you think it's,
It's just, this was some,
this is easier than before, or with this new, possible new dynamic?
I would say it's driven at the staff level for sure. So, you know, there's just a recognition that if they want to encourage these type of projects, then they shouldn't make it super hard.
Process.
Yeah. As far as the approval, it was kind of in the middle. So did have to go in front of the commission, but it was as an item under the deputy director's report. So it's sort of a consent agenda. They presented it, and then there was no discussion or comments on it, so it got approved. It's a new coastal commission. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
It's promising.
I mean, no, I think it might make a difference. I think that from what I've read, I think that's the, not to get too much off the topic, but I don't know, that could help us to get through the process for future projects. I don't know. I'm just, it's going to be interesting with this new makeup of the coastal commission right now.
I think you're right on that. We will see. And I think generally the kind of what's going on in all of the permitting agencies is they realize that it's too hard to get anything done now, and they're trying to make it easier. So I think we'll see a big change there too.
So, I mean,
Off the
do you do it
dredge.
when the first pipe comes? Do you do it, you know, at what stage? I'm thinking when we first start dredging for the eelgrass and they start to see something coming out of the water or something in that area, that maybe that's an opportunity to have a kind of a media event, yeah. So I don't know if it-
Why we know, very proud of the project, and we are not hiding anything on the project. We're trying to limit the reduce the looking loop coming in and disturbing, getting in the work. So there's a one, people will want to walk out to the eelgrass. It's going to be wide open to everybody driving by in their cars. It's going to be broadcast on having a more of a big press release again at the beginning of the project. Invites a large amount of public to come down and watch the project or get in the middle of the project.
And we're gonna be every month giving the board updates. So our strategy right now is, as the general managers just relayed, is to kind of get the project going first without any further delays or unknowns, ideally. Get everything set in place, which is gonna potentially have its own challenges. We've got to discuss the plan that they, the submittal that I've seen so far. That's not formal yet. We're going to try to move the project along on schedule without any delays, but it might be the best strategy to wait at least till next month. And we've got sand being moved. We've got everything in place. We'll also be notifying, of course, the public and the voters as there may be some closures to one half or one entrance to the inner harbor. And there may be some temporary closures to the entire outer harbor as they're laying pipe across. But as far as, right now, we don't have any plans to, to publicize any issues or any progress, just because we don't know yet any schedule for it. So by next month, we'll be able to inform the board on more of a timeline, and we can discuss potentially what we believe the best strategy would be, what the board believes the best strategy.
You may want to just keep in the back of your minds that you may get media anyway, whether we publish it. Areas that will be allowable for the media that they can see it, rather than coming and wandering around. If you start seeing them saying, okay, we established an area for media, that way you can control it. I agree. I think there's a couple times when we could do that. Maybe the first one doing the eelgrass would be more appropriate from the other side, from the trail where you can then see people starting to plant it. That would be a good event. And that's controllable for the media. The other one would, when we're disposing material on the beach and constructing that beach. And I'll be. But I'm just saying, try to control it, because if we don't think about that, then we may have all these people want.
I was just.
I think it's very important.
I
to
agree.
give people, to give people a place where they can observe this. This has been talked about for 10 years.
At least.
And the need for it has become
You
even
don't have to
more.
formally do something, but I'm saying be prepared for, and where you may want to just establish these.
I guess all we're saying,
Well-
I don't know,
President, is.
something to think
is
about.
There's, we're discussing it internally now and working
Okay.
out a strategy that best benefits the project and also complies with direction we've got from NOAA right now, not to discuss some aspects that,
Right.
Right.
that are just important not to bring.
Well, my
some aspects of something.
suggestion is that we put it up on a special link on our website. And we have photos.
Can we get it like a live?
Yeah, we
cam?
are already planning to do that as the project actually starts in the begins, yeah.
Most businesses, start with a soft opening, and I call what we're doing right now the soft opening, but we need to. And we need to observe, our crew will, be very, I'm sure, observant of what people are doing, and, so then we can decide where we're gonna put the yellow tape and where we're gonna put the visitors viewing area kind of thing, because otherwise people are, you see this a lot, like on the opening day of Salmon, where people create parking spaces for their car and their trailer in some of the most unique places. You never would have thought that somebody could fit a car and a trailer and get in and out of that
Without
space.
damaging their car.
And people do that, so I agree with you, George. I think it's better that we have a control and we direct the traffic instead of having to clean up afterwards. But it's not this week, and it's like the first month or 2 months could be our soft opening. But we can always say, if you're curious, go to this link.
I just want to make sure it's secure, Jim. I just don't even want to take
Anything,
the
that's a
chance.
Safety issue, I could.
Yeah,
see
well, that's
people
what I-
trying to get out
Yeah,
on the
that's
boulevard.
what, yeah,
And
secure and,
observe directly the dredging.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
It's a challenge, and so if we don't limit, access to
Access.
those.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
fencing and the access limitations are all part of the
Right,
plan.
fantastic.
We've got a submittal for now, and we're gonna be discussing with them later today and ongoing. Go ahead, Brent.
There's also, they have to provide a traffic safety plan and other elements, how many people are gonna be there looking out and interacting with the public and stuff. So we'll have all that information soon. I'd say also the first, at least couple of weeks are gonna be, assembling dredge pipe and kind of pouring stuff that isn't gonna be that interesting.
Right.
and it's been kind of a controversial project. I just want to make sure we have security there.
Well, the other thing to consider is when we took down Romeo Pier, I don't remember any groups lining up to see any of the dredges, the people taking that out. So on one hand, we might not get a lot of people that came down just to look at it.
I use that Romeo Pier project as an example when I discussing this with others, just because it did go under budget and completely smoothly, even though it was a very controversial project. Many people wanted to, us to improve that, landmark, historical landmark it was called. And it was, a lot of people were not excited about its removal, even though we did evaluate it very thoroughly, and it was determined by professionals that it was irreparable. That it was just not, you could not repair it. You'd have to tear it down first and replace it if that was desired, if there was funding and desire to do so. But it was just simply not, repairable.
I think we should
And
get,
we were able to, notice the public and make sure that everybody, was educated, understood the reasoning for it.
right,
But we also did not encourage, by bringing it forward constantly. We didn't encourage people to go out and looky-loo and come out in their boats and disrupt progress, et cetera.
I think there should be a big picture of Romeo Pier on the back wall for the board to look at. Because it's a great reminder about thinking through the project from not only the pier part to how you get there.
No, and I think that's a good example. Here we have these two very, very unique aspects of the other one is building, we don't build beaches in San Mateo County, the ocean side. The last beach nourishment I think we've seen done anywhere in this area is, when we were so this is very unique in terms of that beach building. But, I think these guys are gonna do a good job with safety plan and everything.
I think having the special site link on our website with photos and maybe and the plans, nothing more, this is where we're at, here's a picture. Not
The
asking-
general manager is actually working through our IP sanction. He's taking the lead on making sure that we've got cameras. So
Well,
we
I should have known.
Yeah.
But, because it will add to our education component. Because this is such a unique project and,
On a different level too.
On-
Environmental,
Yeah.
construction.
on many different levels and it's so long, the prelude to it is so long. 10 years, I mean. You can build a skyscraper fast. So, yeah, I think this is great. Any more comments? Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Brad.
Thank you,
Are you
Brad.
done, Brad?
Doesn't it?
Poor Brad. It's like, are you done, Brad?
We'll do all the details next month.
Fabulous.
And
And
next month, we are planning, we'll have a lot more information. We'll be providing a much more thorough public meeting that with information about the project and what we, hopefully we'll have a timeline we can actually show on a PowerPoint presentation. Again, we've seen submittals at present, but we're far from, agreeing on those, and the general manager will be able to review the final before next month and we present it to the public.
thank you. And I love having this on every month's agenda. I think that's a great addition for us and for the public. Thank you. Let's move on then to the final operating budget and 5-year capital improvement program. Ben Hoff. Julie. Ciao.
President Slater Carter and commissioners, it's always a pleasure to be here to present, and we are going to present our draft final budget for the year. And I will thank Julie and our general manager for all the support in running this marathon over the last 6 months to get to this place. And also really, I have to also thank our finance committee for all of their support to be here. So I will be presenting our 2026 final budget and our 5-year capital improvement project. Excellent news, it is a balanced budget. I know a lot of special districts and government entities are having a hard time saying that right now. And with your leadership, we are able to say that again this year. I have time. I always like to have a PowerPoint to run through when I present to you, just because it helps me and is a good visual. So I'll be going through that with you today, and it helps just to summarize the budget. There is a very comprehensive staff report in your binder that you could also use it, and it includes all of our summary tables. When we present our budget, we have this beautiful budget book. We have a PDF version, but we are recommending the digital version. I've gone through this a few times with all of you, but I am going to go through it again for anybody who might be watching our meeting or refer back to our meeting in the future, so that they know how to find that financial information in our budget book. So I clicked on the link, and the link will be available on our website. Our digital budget book, it has a menu bar across the top. I'm going to go through each of those tabs really quickly, just the things that Rochelle likes. You might find something else in here that you really like. Introduction and overview. One of my favorite tabs is looking at the demographics, how they apply to our area, some really nice visuals, influencing factors. Our operating budget at a glance. If you look at our staff report, a lot of the information that we use in the staff report comes out of our operating budget at a glance. So looking at our 2025 projection to final budget, really providing those specific numbers and the percentage change between those two. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about those changes when I go back to the PowerPoint presentation. But this is always a great tab to jump to under influencing factors. A new page between our approved adopted budget and this final version at the recommendation of our finance committee is a new investment tab. And it's really, this tab is in its infancy. It's very basic, but we kind of need a little bit more time to be working with our managed investment partners to be able to show the story of how that has changed kind of our outcomes with our investments here at the harbor. So I anticipate next year really being able to highlight some of our the history of our investment income. Right now, it's a snapshot of our current portfolio, and then we had staff provide some nice visuals about kind of just the diversification of our investments. So I think as time progresses, that investment tab will help us tell the story of how managed investments help us meet our financial goals. So that is also a change between our preliminary budget and our final budget. And then I think the budget summary page is a great page. It uses the bells and whistles of this product to highlight with charts and graphs, the summary, the budget summary. If you want to know what's happening at Pillar Point or admin, you can click down under departments and it'll show you our annual goals. We have data for 3 years, how that's going. Also looking at some of the specifics around breaking down those expenses and revenues for each department. So I think that this product does a nice job laying out our capital improvement projects. So if we look at the 1-year plan, and I'll also talk a little bit more about what's changed between the preliminary budget and this final budget, but we can look at the detailed requests for each project. we have received the bids for design and engineering for the Burnham Strip overflow lot. And so we haven't completely gone through that yet. We have a placeholder in for some dollars for design and engineering for a capital project that you haven't approved it or looked at it, but we wanted to put it as a placeholder in the budget for next year, since we did look at that as a potential. And we have vessel and vehicle replacements for both Oyster Point and Pillar Point Harbor, and then our general manager projects as well under capital improvements. So if I click on this, it'll take me to providing some more details about vessel and vehicle replacement. So just a really nice way to click around and get the information you need efficiently. And then at the end, I always say, what is DBW? So definitions and abbreviations, it's just, there are a lot of acronyms here in our harbor world, and I want everybody to be able to figure out what we're talking about. So
I appreciate that so much. When I got started in politics, everybody was speaking in the acronym code. And I'd been sitting for years in the audience going, wait, it's not on the internet.
yes, I mean, we really, and we want this to be a tool that the public can come in and look at what we're doing and be able to figure it out. And if we don't provide this answer key to that, and so even our new project with the Princeton Shoreline Feasibility Study with the Army Corps of Engineer, they have a whole new group of acronyms that we're using in our work. So, you know, we built that into our this year's.
George knows the moves.
Well, that's just an overview of our digital budget book and where to find things. I'm gonna go back to. You're welcome, but it's, I do think it's really about giving a tool not only for us and for you, but for the public to be able to look at what we're doing with our finances. So this is the very simplified summary of our budget. So we're looking at 15.6 million in total revenues, operating expenditures of 13.2. We're going to add 2.3 million to working capital, with capital expenditures estimated at 1.1 million. And then as we head through the next, I don't know, 12 days, we anticipate having about $4.9 million in ending working capital at the end of this fiscal year as we move forward. In April, you all adopted a preliminary budget, and I've already, Julie and I have talked a little bit about the things that have changed from April to now. So our non-personnel expenditures increased 1.58%, and that was due to that increase in liability insurance. So as we get closer to the end of June, SDRMA gives us an update of what they anticipate those costs will be. And so we have spread out that increase across, you know, the three departments. Capital expenditures between April, our preliminary budget, and this final budget have increased, including design and engineering for Burnham Strip parking lot. And so between the increased SDRMA liability insurance cost and including this new capital expenditure, our working capital then would decrease. And so you see that by $574,000. The other change between the adopted preliminary budget is that we included the new investment section that will continue to grow over time. Talk a little bit about our 2025 projection. So what kind of changed between our 25 2025 projections to our final budget. And that our operating revenues will increase 2.8%. And that's just our inflationary adjustment. Non-operating revenues go down, and that is really looking at our property tax income and valuations. Salary and benefits continue to go up. We have a really stable workforce, and we can be, I think that's something to celebrate, to not have a lot of turnover. So we're fully staffed, and then we anticipate an increase in the costs of benefits. We did talk a little bit about workers' comp going down, but our health insurance premiums continue to go up at a higher rate. And then, so non-personnel expenditures, and this is, again, this percentage is what we think we're going to end up at the end of June. And that's the difference between 2025 and the final budget is an increase in 11.3%. And that includes contract services. And so those are things like monitoring fees, Princeton's shoreline project, consultants, our liability insurance is going up. But I want to talk a little bit about legal fees, and Tricia's costs did not go up 36%. So I'll tell you is that we actually have had a little cost savings in legal fees for 2025. So when we did the mid-year adjustment, we lowered down what we thought we would spend on legal fees. But as we head into 2026, maybe 25 was an anomaly. So we put those dollars back in. So it's not that it's not that we think those costs are going to jump way back up. We've had a little cost savings this year, but we do anticipate needing that support.
Oh, what's up? They're raising it 36.9%. If there's a little asterisk that says replacing funds cut from the
Carrying
past.
over. Carrying over.
Or
Yeah.
carryover or something. So it's on the same page, because one of the problems that I have observed over the years is if you have an appendix, nobody reads it. And people, we're in the Sesame Street kind of attention spans for people, and they want their questions answered now.
Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it. I know in our staff report, we have those details, and this is the summary, but I think that's a good point. I did want to point out that big number for legal fees and explain that, but I could also have a little asterisk there,
I just,
providing that additional information.
we're not talking about the budget now, we're talking about when somebody looks at it 5 years from now, and things have changed and nobody knows why it was.
Rochelle, so going to the non-operating revenues line, which is the third line, of that decrease in 1.6%, do you have the breakout between property taxes and interest income? Like how much of the 1.6% is property taxes?
Staff report. It might have that.
Well, I was looking at this online last.
Doesn't have
It's not
a
in
breakout
that
on
breakout,
the staff
yeah.
report, but there is one of the expenditure detail lines in the online budget report. Look at it. Basically, the property tax is projected to go down slightly from this year to next fiscal year. That's primarily due to our projections include some of the supplemental tax revenues. But when we do our budget, because we don't know what that supplemental role is going to be, we have no way to estimate that, and we don't include it in the property tax budget revenue line item. So it's a very slight change of going down in property tax, but there is a bigger drop in because of our cash balances are going down. And you have that up there. Yeah,
I don't expect interest income to necessarily increase that much over the next year either, so I'm just, anyway, I'm just curious what that breakout is, you know, the property tax thing, 'cause a lot of our funds are from property taxes, right?
Okay, and you can see we are anticipating a decrease in our income interest because
yeah.
we have invested into it.
Market too, right, at that point, but the property tax, and that's a separate market too, it's just, you know, when 60 to 65% of your budget comes from property taxes, it would be.
Thank you. And again, I do appreciate the feedback on improving the presentation. So we talked about our capital projects. I'll run through them really quick again. $375,000 for vessel and vehicle replacement, design and engineering for the Burnham Strip parking lot, and GM special projects. Then we always, as we look out at our 5-year financial outlook, that our operating revenues will increase by 2.5%. Non-operating revenues might have a slight decrease just because of less cash to be investing into investments and tax uncertainties. Salaries and benefits increase 5%. Non-personnel expenditures increasing 2.5% annually. And then we have a difference every other year for election costs. When we work on our budget, we are always engaging with the public. We've had a public hearing today to take public input. The public's been invited to attend. Preliminary adopted budget was publicly noticed. And we always take input from the public. Any other questions or comments?
Look, it can be done. You can make it so the public can understand it instead of just giving us spreadsheets.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
Julie and
fantastic.
Michelle, thank you. And again, folks, I'm gonna ask to call you because I think this is something that is exemplary, and I think most agencies should follow it.
So, CSDA, I think, has like examples of things to look at. And I mean, do you think this is something we could submit the CSDA so they can say, oh, to the membership, look at what the Harbor District has done, and could be a model for you too?
Sure. They do accept, you know, like
Yeah,
exemplary sample
yeah, they do.
policies and.
Yeah.
And
And that's what I would do.
Yeah,
I mean,
next
what do you
week
think?
I'm going to the CSDA planning conference for a couple of days, and I'm gonna say, you know, we need to have this kind of thing easily available.
So that other special.
So
districts
that
can
other
see.
special districts can, I've been watching as an alternate at LAFCO, the Broadmoor district. And, as a member, as an alternate member on LAFCO, I shouldn't get involved, but I might call somebody and say, you might want to explore.
Yeah. Actually, you might want to submit this to the final. I think the cities could benefit from looking at this too, and county agencies too.
Now, there's some nuances here where we're an enterprise fund, we don't have a general fund, so agencies that do have a general fund are more complicated.
Right.
By design, but understanding the difference between modified accrual accounting and full accrual accounting is key in understanding the budget versus the accounting aspect of this.
I'll make a motion to adopt this resolution approving the fiscal year 2026 operating budget and 5-year capital improvement plan. And that's resolution 25-09.
Thank you, George. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Moving on to future agenda items. Seeing none, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. Comment? Oh, comment.
I'd just like to make a quick information presentation only, like for a couple of minutes. We did hold a subcommittee meeting this morning of the Ocean Science Center. So I just want to give a quick update as to where we are. We've been pursuing information from various facilitators to do our facilitated workshops. I think we've kind of centered on a selection, understanding the cost of that. We will be putting together kind of a budget proposal as to what these workshops will cost and so forth to get approval by the board. And Rochelle, correct me if I'm not wrong, we're going to try to make a presentation to the board next meeting about what the budget may be to do those facilitated workshops, correct?
Yes, they invite to,
Yeah, great. So that may be an agenda item for the next meeting. We're looking now, I was hoping to be able to get these workshops done before the end of the summer. However, realizing that a lot of the people that we may want to come from the educational side of the program may not be available till the end of summer or early fall. So, and then once they get going in schools, they need to spin up a little bit. So we're looking at probably October timeframe to have these and give everybody a chance to settle into the school year and both from the community college system, our universities, and part of the plan. We'll target that time frame. We don't really have dates yet, but we'll work on that. Am I missing anything? We're good?
was a good summary.
Oh, and the other thing is we will start pursuing, we kind of got the blessing this morning to pursue using our grant writers to see if we can get some grants to give us some startup funds to help us with public information and a lot of the things that we kind of been counting on Jim. Try to get some grant funding for that, and we'll see. Hopefully we'll be successful.
I have a question.
It seems like we had some discussion when we first started looking into this, that there was some individual that was willing to underwrite the whole thing. I don't remember who that person was, and as I've said, I don't want this to be something new for the Harbor District. I want outside funding.
Well, certainly, yeah, no, and we're looking at we're still, the 501c3 plan is progressing, and that is to look at getting other funding to do this and not settle the district, but trying to keep this thing running. That'll be an important component.
So item 2 for this 5K fundraiser, I just want to make sure that the Harbor District is actually being front center in terms of branding, number one, but do we also know in terms of what the breakdown is going to be for the actual fundraiser from the 5K? Because we're going to have to cover our costs too, right, for that? So how,
We're meeting
I
today,
think I'm supposed,
or the team meeting today.
I'm supposed to be part of that meeting.
You have to be part of the design meeting, and I forwarded.
It's the meeting.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's adjourned.
At
Meeting's
11:01,
adjourned.
in exactly an hour.
Wow.